Great Googly Moogly. That's Double Gray by Long Drive Home. Is it Thursday already? From noon to 3, it's Side Stage with Trav. Automation with Fred, spelled with a P. And then Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. And two guesses which one Wilson is. Now, I see the one guy in there chewing on bath salts, looking at me all wide-eyed like, where are we? Well, sir, we are at the top of the hour here at KRFF 95.9 LPFM. Moorhead, Fargo, 701-478-4959. Beautiful day here in Fargo. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday at 4, I get in here and I talk about cannabis in a positive light. Try to stay local if there's enough news. And boy, oh boy, my brain is spinning. You know, I don't write nothing down. I put it up in my short-term memory. You know, I think about what I'm going to say and then I just, well, it's a gross word, but I just regurgitate it out. And then I don't remember it. You know, I go back, I don't even remember what I did. So this one's a lot going on in North Dakota in regards to cannabis legalization. Minnesota's making progress too, so that's really, really awesome. And we'll talk about it at 4:20. And it is 420 degrees here in the studio. I'm dressed appropriately, and I hope y'all are too. This beautiful show about cannabis is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. And body butter is one of the many items that she does. But the body butter is insane. You can use it for about anything. And a little goes a long way. It's helped me with probably from head to toe. I had a head issue. Boom. Had a foot issue. Bang. Took care of it. It's made with kosher, full-spectrum CBD, North Dakota grown hemp. It's made with North Dakota hemp seed oil, CBD, mango butter, shea butter, and all of the spices that was brought to baby Jesus. And you can go to blackcottagealchemy.com or on Facebook to see more information. It is also at Odds Two Ends Gift Shop, 2111 Main Avenue, East West Fargo. We're right out the back door of the studio here at Tochi Products. Go in there, and while you're in there, sign the ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act, and bring your mom in and have her sign it too. So anyway, this hour is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Thank you. Now let's get cooking. Oh, I also want to say, just for fun, because I care, as the New Life Center helps people who are homeless and hurting go from merely surviving to truly thriving, their aim is to help people in need discover value and find hope. The New Life Center has evolved into a multifaceted emergency and crisis service center. To learn more about NLC, visit their website at www.fargonlc.org or give them a call, 701-235-4453. Again, it's a beautiful day here in Fargo. It's Thursday. It's 4 o'clock. So Canna-Talk ND with Wilson is just getting revved up. Boy, we're going to do her. We're going to do her, too. So anyway, I appreciate you guys checking in on your way to the grocery store to pick up snacks that are no way related to a medical card issue. Okay? But I think we're at our first musical break because I say so. And that's about all the... because it's my show. It's my show. It's There You Go, featuring John Popper, Beats Antique. Here it comes. Feel it? See you in a minute. Oh, man. There you go. John Popper. I call him JP. Beats Antique. That's 2010. Blind Threshold. Welcome, everybody. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. 4:20, we open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and bingo bango, we got a lot of it to talk about locally, especially. I mean, there's stuff humming. There's stuff humming. So it's going to be exciting to talk about all that at 4:20. So get your aunt and your grandma, get them into the living room, especially the one with a medical card. Get them hooked up with one of those tall things that gurgle when you suck out of it. You put stuff in. I forget what it's called. But anyway, like I said, we're moving towards legalization in North Dakota no matter what. No matter what. So anyway, Canna-Talk ND on YouTube. We'll have this show minus the music. Philip Cannahead Pilko. He gets that ready. Thank you for your work. And then he does Cannaheads on Sunday on Canna-Talk ND. So go check that out. ND for Freedom of Cannabis is the measure that's out there. And we'll talk about that. I mean, again, there's a lot to talk about. And it's mostly fun because, you know, what do they say? No press, bad press is good press. Or no press is bad press. Yeah, that's what it is. But anyway, Radio Free Fargo, KRFF 95.9, radiofreefargo.org. Go there, donate, and listen to somebody other than me. After this, a Stinky Art Music Mart, and then local on the 8s. So I've got 2 minutes and 30-some seconds, and because we're just swamped with North Dakota, funnery to talk about. A lot of supposing, a lot of stuff like a radio guy likes to do. I get to critically, think critically through all of this stuff with House Bill 1420, which is soon to be Senate Bill 1420, and I will not say 1420. I know that's how they normally do, House Bill 2615 or 3027. But if you've got the numbers 420 next to each other in a House or Senate bill, and you're not calling it 1420, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. This is Marijuana Moment here. Legal marijuana states see reduced workers' compensation claims. Let me say it one more time. Legal marijuana states see reduced workers' compensation claims. New study finds. So take that, everybody. The legislators should see this. They should put this in their negative, I don't want to see change, pipe and smoke it. Because there is reduced workers' compensation claims, which means there's more people doing the thing that you thought would require workman's comp. And in fact, people are happier. There's a million things, So anyway, they identified complementary declines in non-traumatic workplace injury rates and the incidence of work-limiting disabilities in legal states. These findings run counter to arguments commonly made by prohibitionists who have claimed that legalizing marijuana would lead to lower productivity and more occupational hazards. But they were wrong. So they offer evidence that the primary driver of these reductions is an improvement in work capacity. It's likely due to access to an additional form of pain management therapy. And it works, and so they're happy about that. You know what I'm saying to you? And so that was just like a fun little ditty I did there, because now I got to get to the music because I've got 8 minutes until 4:20 and then come on back. But I got myself a nice sandwich here. Okay, so it's going to start with Smoke 2 Joints in a lullaby. Then I'm going to hit you with some Grizz, and then boom, Smoke 2 Joints sandwich. So let's get to it, and then I'll see you on the end of this, and we'll get to talking about the cannabis. But in the meantime, 95.9 Radio Free Fargo. And right indeed. Smoke 2 Joint sandwich right there. First it was the Rockabye, which is a lullaby. Then it's Come On featuring Grizz, Big Gigantic 2016. Then Smoke 2 Joint Sublime, the original Christian rock band. But anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. It's 420 degrees here in the studio. I'm dressed appropriately, and man, oh man, I hope you had a good time with that. I did too. I was doing a little jig. But anyway, it's time to talk about cannabis in a positive light because it's 420. So we're going to let this play a little bit. I'm going to push a couple buttons. You go get yourself something to drink or smoke if you got a medical card. We're here to change the law, not break the law.
Yo, it's Wilson from Canna-Talk ND. The super awesome show you're getting ready to listen to. I think you should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll wait. Okay, enjoy the show.
Oh, that's plenty enough time, isn't it? So anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson is 420 every Thursday. I open a big bag of cannabis news, and this is no different. And we got a lot to talk about. We'll start with... let's see here. We'll start with North Dakota, and then we'll get to cruise. So anyway, this is normal. North Dakota. House lawmakers approved measure to legalize marijuana sales, which, man, I almost feel like we should start, like calling our representatives and telling them that we got to stop calling it marijuana, because it just declasses everything. Because it's not marijuana. That was a created name. It was, it was supported under racistic stuff. You know what I'm saying? So let's just call it what it is. Let's start there. Like you hear legislators like, well, we're kind of ignorant about it. We don't know about it. We seen it coming, but we didn't learn about it. We'll start with calling it cannabis, and everything will fall into place. Because just saying marijuana, for me, disconnects me to you. We're not going to see eye to eye because you got to catch up. Legislators got to catch up. Do some research. Realize that they may not know everything and that there might be somebody that does. And let us guide you guys through so you can make the right decisions for North Dakota. Okay, there's a House Bill 1420. Okay, that's being backed by Legalize ND, which had their own ballot initiative and still has it, but they're not going to do it if these guys can get this one through. So in my head right away, as I'm outside looking in, and I see ND for Freedom, Legalize ND was their competition. You know, if they were both pushing ballot initiatives, they'd both be on the street corner looking a lot alike. So that was the problem that happened with the first time around with ND for Freedom. They're like, oh, is this, which measure am I signing? Is it them? And there was confusion, and we preferred that there would only been one, for continuity and consistency. Well, I feel like which, I'm not a part of that measure, but ND for Freedom seems like they now get the whole floor. Because if Legalize ND now is essentially giving up in lieu of this House bill, they're acquiescing to this House bill, then they're no longer out on the streets competing with the constitutional amendment measure. So it seems to me like if I was, ND for Freedom, I would be stoked that LND, my competition as of yesterday, no longer exists. Because now you don't have to convince the people that 2 ballot initiatives, is good. Now you can say the government sucks and we don't. I mean, people are loving to hear that. We could end up in a whole uprising. I don't even know, because things feel really jingly jangly. Things could break off. I feel like I did a reenactment one over the 4th of July one time, and it was so hot. I mean, you couldn't even live, but our sales came from being outside, and everybody else we were a food vendor service. And man, people were fighting. It was nuts over the stupidest thing because the heat had got to them, So I don't even know why I said that. But anyway, this is something everybody can get into. You can either go with this government, the federal legislated measure, House Bill 1420, or you can stick with the people-pushed constitutional amendment measure that has home grow and other things. It's just, it was written with us in mind. And so for me, I think like it should be a win if you're ND for Freedom, because you no longer have the competition, because they're now part of part of the legislative movement. And then now you can say, sign our measure because it's a good one and the government ones suck. And, the state legislation ones suck. It's written with them in mind and not the people. Well, man, people ain't even going to read that measure anymore. They're just going to sign it because anti-government has been, the popularity of thinking they're out to get us has gone up and up and up and up and up and up. So now you no longer, if you're ND for Freedom, you don't have a competition in a ballot initiative. You're the only one out there now. To me, that's a win. I mean, your competition backed down. And you're still there. So I don't know. I think that's kind of I think depending on how you look at that. And then I'll talk about the stinking amendment that ND for Freedom is trying to get in and whether or not that could mess with House Bill 1420. Like if you sneak an amendment in that includes home grow, say, and the Senate votes on it and they vote no because of the added amendment, do you screw Legalize ND's move? Do you kill, essentially, House Bill 1420 by getting somebody to add a home grow amendment? Like if 15 senators, which would make it pass, say, would have voted yes for no home grow, and then all of a sudden only 3 senators is going to vote for this amended with home grow House Bill 1420. Well, it's now Senate Bill 1420. Did you hijack House Bill 1420? Did you sneak onto another person's measure like L&D? And if you get it kicked out because you added an amendment that no longer makes the Senate want to vote for it, whose fault is that? Now, I'm not a politician, so maybe the amendment is just one time through. The Senate votes on the amendment to House Bill 1420. They either vote yes or no. And if they vote no, well, then House Bill 1420 or Senate Bill 1420 still stays in its original intact and gets voted on again or something, because otherwise that sounds crazy to me. Okay, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday at 4:20. Open a bag of cannabis news, and we're doing it here now. Thanks for joining me. 95.9 KRFF is what you're listening to. It's the engine that I'm driving. Anyway, normal article. I'm going to read this through. Members of the North Dakota House of Reps on Tuesday, they approved 3 separate bills to significantly amend the state's marijuana laws. All 3 measures, and see, and even normal says it. I think we're just so brainwashed that we know it's not called marijuana and we still do it. Why is that? You know what I mean? But anyway, I got to adjust the things, man. I'm on fire. I'm peeling paint. So anyway, here we go. House Bill 1420, it allows adults to legally purchase and possess cannabis, was approved by a 56-38 vote. Okay, that's in the House. Now it's heading to committee in the Senate committee, and then it'll be voted on by the Senate. You know, but again, I seen the senators vote on something related to cannabis, and only 4 of them voted. That's not good. That's not good. Because, yeah, of course, most of them didn't because it was, you could grow truckloads. But it kind of sets the temperature for, you know, what they're thinking about cannabis. And I just wish they would just go to some conference so they could learn or, you know, have a cannabis nurse that knows what they're doing, girl, and get her into the Capitol and then be the consultant. Because you got to have somebody they listen to. Because now they only listen to themselves. They think they're right. I tell them they're wrong. They're like, well, you're not a politician. I mean, get to my position, cleaner. All you do is clean floors, buddy. You know what I mean? So somebody's got to be able to get through to them. Okay, so House Bill 1420 has passed. Okay, it permits adults 21 and older to possess up to 1 ounce of cannabis. An amendment to the legislation adopted by House lawmakers last week sets a limit on the amount of it that may be purchased from a licensed retailer at 21 grams, and consumers can purchase up to 21 grams no more than twice a month. So it seems to me like you can get 42 grams a month. So that's, I don't know, that sounds like almost 2 ounces twice. But anyway, House lawmakers also approved a separate measure, House Bill 1501 or 1501, which imposes a 15% gross receipt tax. And I think there's another excise tax. So you're looking at some pretty decent taxes, you know. So I'm thinking 10% is the excise. So you're 25%. That, you know, for $100, that's $25. That's like 3 pre-rolls. I don't know. I'm just making it up. Okay, so House lawmakers passed that bill 73-21. So you know, if they, you know, when you say let's vote for us to get more money, of course it's 73-21. It's certainly not 56-38 when we're talking about raping the people for taxes. You know, they got no problems voting for that. So you can see they love the taxes, 73-21. They're like, I mean, their ears perked up when we said, hey, let's rape them for their cannabis sales. Oh, bing, bing, you know, voting green. So anyway, lawmakers also approved a third piece of legislation, which I talked about this last week, me likey, you know, House Bill 1201 by a 58-36. Now, House Bill 1420 was approved 56-38. Okay, so they lost 2, or they gained 2 for the decrim bill. See what I'm saying? 2 more voted yes for the decrim, I noticed. Okay, it fully decriminalized the possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana, reducing penalties from a criminal infraction to a civil penalty. And I don't know what that civil penalty is. Is it like a parking ticket? Of no more than $50, which of no more than $50. Could it be $15? I mean, the measure also reduces penalties for the possession of larger quantities of cannabis, which that is really pretty cool. You know, it is. And I like it. I like it. But so what I've been hearing, you know, like if you're indie for freedom of cannabis, it seems like they don't want this to go through because it limits or it reduces the chances of them passing through. But again, I don't see how that is, you know, because we still need home grow. Even if it's legalized, we still want that measure passed. And again, I mean, if you said, listen, everybody needs to ban 1420, call your representatives, get them to vote no so we can get ours through. Well, if you can't get yours through, there are going to be a lot of people mad at you for stopping House Bill 1420. You know, if you sabotage House Bill 1420 under the ruse and the guise as ours is better and it'll get in, but even if you get it to the people, even if the people vote, They can South Dakota your hind end. And, I mean, they will South Dakota you to death. You know? I mean, because you don't think they will? They will. They're going to tell you your measure's great. You know? Even the lawyers will tell you, oh, it's great. You know? They'll be like, you'll even fully vet it. Indy for Freedom, a Cannabis Act measure has been fully vetted. But at the end of the day, if the people vote on it, the legislators are going to call a cop in Wishick, North Dakota, to go to a bar with his buddy, drink 6 Old Milwaukees, and look at that measure until they can find out what they can use to get it thrown out. You say, that's crazy. It's not crazy. South Dakota did it. You know, the cops were the ones that found the legalese to disrupt after it was voted. See, that's the crazy thing. So it's like, well, if the legislators are going to give us let's give them a little legalization bill so they'll stop. Well, just don't stop. Indy for Freedom. Don't stop. Just keep doing it. And now you can say, you don't have to say there's another group also doing it. You don't have to say that anymore. It's either you or the government. It's either a North Dakota measure for legalization or one written for the people. How easy is that to get signatures? You don't have to compete with nobody else on the corner. Legalize ND ain't going to be outside with you at the Bob Seger concert. You're going to be the only one out there. And then everybody's going to hear about House Bill 1420, and you're going to say, yeah, it's crap, and it taxes this to snot out of us, and you can't home grow, but ours can. Sign right here, sir. I mean, to me, that's the beautiful platform. So I'm a little confused. And since I don't talk to anybody that's making movements, you know, I don't know everything. You know, I'm just an idiot with a seatbelt on and a mask, but only one. I don't know if I can wear 2, but that's not that kind of show. I'm a one mask man. Nah, I don't know. Anyway, House Bill 1420. So that's going to go through Senate committee. And then apparently a senator will introduce an amendment to House Bill 1420. You don't want to stay into, you know, the groove with that. And I'll post it on, you know, Canna-Talk ND on the Facebook page, you know, as soon as I know any of this, you know, because if you derail it, if you talk a senator to amend it, is there 2 now? You know, is there the original 1420 without the home grow? Or is there just one that they vote on? You know, how many are they voting on? Are they voting for the amended one? Yay or nay? Because if they vote yay on an amended one, well, then you wouldn't vote on the 1420 one. But are you derailing it, though? You know, are you jinxing it? You know, because if they amend it and now it has a home grow on it, and the senators are like, whoa, we didn't talk about the home grow, and they vote no. Is it dead in the water? Did you essentially kill House Bill 1420 to add a home grow? Because it seems to me, if that's the case, don't do that. Don't do that. Just keep pushing. Tell everybody, yeah, it's better than nothing. And it is better than nothing. It is progress. I mean, you guys don't have to get any sort of legalization measure anymore. Technically, it's done. So you just add to it, make our state better, and then push it through. And it seems to me like it would be easier. So anyway, I wish everybody the best, and I'll keep everybody up to date on this. So what did we learn? House Bill 1420 is now Senate Bill 1420. And, I was going to say the decrim bill, like I said, was a 58 to 36 vote, and that's in the House. Now, again, I don't know nothing about Senate, but, you know, again, I would just keep pushing if you were a constitutional amendment ballot initiative person, you know, and I would be thankful that your competition has sided with the enemy, and now all you got to do is defeat the enemy. Now you don't have that other measure guy pushing you around or, you know, working for his own thing. So it seems to me like a win, and if this amendment gets through, you know, I'll be paying attention. So it'll be interesting to see what that even means. And maybe I'll Google it, but I got ADD. I ain't Googling nothing. And if I am Googling something, I'll probably see a spot on the letter K, and I'll get some spray, and you know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's what's going on in North Dakota. All right. I will talk about, let's see, this one. Okay, that one's the House Bill 1420. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. And this Thursday's no different. Radio Free Fargo 95.9. Okay, so we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about South Dakota. Okay, now what I want to say to you guys, though, is the title on this thing. South Dakota Senate. Now, this is KELO. It's out of Pierre or whatever. It's the news thing. Okay? So, and this is the title. It says, South Dakota Senate says yes to adult use marijuana. All right? Well, let's say you just read the title. And this was posted February 24th. Let's just say you read the title. You would think that Amendment A got finalized, right? Because everybody knows that Amendment A got killed by those two cops that found that weird problem, the subject rule. And you read South Dakota Senate says yes to adult use marijuana. That's not what they mean. What they mean is they have convinced, okay, let me read a little. South Dakota should be ready in case the state Supreme Court sides with the majority who voted to legalize adult use marijuana. The state Senate decided Wednesday. So what does that tell you? You know, Senator Brock Greenfield convinced a majority in the chamber that they should start creating a framework. Despite Governor Kristi Noem trying to overturn the November election that saw 54% of voters say yes to Amendment A. So you know there's conversation going on, right? Why should we bother coming up with the framework that the people voted in to do if it's not going to pass? And one guy's like, well, why are you assuming it won't? And everybody's like, because we have a corrupt system here in South Dakota. Everybody knows that old, dictatorial Noem is just going to squash it. Is just going to squash it. So why bother coming up with a framework? We've already won. We've got it to the Supreme Court. We all have the Supreme Court in our pocket. Why bother? So the senators decided 19-16, which is only three to create the framework. So 16 of them figures Christie's going to kill them in the Supreme Court. He's going to kill Amendment A. And that's horrible news. Okay? So Senate Bill 187 goes to the House, and it's the framework. Greenfield said the voters will be needed to be respected lest there be a backlash, and I agree. But man, once you've been corrupt long enough, and you come up with a system that corruptly produces for people that created it anyway for their own benefit, it's ugly in South Dakota. So I wish everybody the best. And again, the medical cannabis one, that one got messed with too. I mean, in South Dakota, they submitted a bill to allow them, because everybody knows that 71% of the people in South Dakota voted for medical cannabis. And so now they want to take a long time. So they came up with a measure to speed it up, and it lost in the House. Or the committee. So, again, so South Dakota people, man, I feel you, and I'm thinking about you, and I hope everything, we need some people that believes in cannabis that can make decisions, like I always joke, we need Josh Duhamel to say, I want to be the dispensary guy. I'll buy all of them, won't charge you guys nothing, and you can jack me in taxes. Let's go, because ain't nobody listening to this, ain't nobody listening to this addict, My whole life's been making mistakes. I should be the one that's being listened to. Because I can tell you from the cigarette burns on my arm, the cannabis is not bad. And it could be used for a lot of benefits. So anyway, Senator Michael Roll, he found fault with the plan. He supported Amendment A because the legislation would allow only businesses with malt beverage licenses to sell adult use cannabis as long as they are at least 51% South Dakota owned. Now wrap your briggity brain around that, okay? Senator Michael, he found fault with it because the legislation would allow places that sell 40s, am I reading that right, to sell cannabis. As long as the business was mostly owned by a local. I don't get that, y'all. I don't get it. But anyway, medical use marijuana would be sold only at dispensaries that would be licensed under a different law known as IM26 that nearly 70% of voters approved in November. Okay, now listen to this crazy stuff. And this is a quote by Roll. We're going to be selling this at gas stations. We're going to be selling this at grocery stores. We're going to be selling this at bars. That is not the responsible way to set this up, Roll said about the adult use plan. The adult use legislation limits sales to people 21 and older. There would be 2 sets of penalties for underage violations, up to 1 year in county jail for selling to people under 18, and up to 30 days for selling to those age 18 but younger than 21. Now, let's keep reading some of this wacky stuff that you guys have running your state. Senator Wayne Steinhauer said he was okay that a tax mechanism isn't part of the legislation. Amendment A already calls for a 15% tax on transactions. So that's what House Bill 1420 in North Dakota is. They've added a 15, but there's also just a state excise tax. So again, 25% is quite a bit. You know, and I also wanted to mention that House Bill 1420, before they built dispensaries, they would send all the rec people to the medical facilities, which could exhaust the supply, and then people that need it medically won't be able to get it under the House Bill 1420. I just remembered that. But anyway, I'm going to keep reading these guys. It's crazy. Steinhauer goes, I have constituents who say, you ought to tax the heck out of this because they're concerned about the public getting addicted. Here's what I'm really worried about. The addiction that's going to happen is going to happen here in Pierre. The addiction is going to be to the money, Steinhauer said. Greenfield said the 51% ownership requirement was to meet existing court decisions. So we've tried to set the guardrails in such a way that we're trying to keep as much of this homegrown as possible, but also to not run amiss with the case law. So, I mean, man, they're still talking about addiction and stuff, guys. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just, oh, man, how do you get them to see this for what it is? It's a beneficial thing that grows out of the ground that can do everything. That you can build houses with it. And it's all environmentally chill. It doesn't rape nothing. The ground likes it. And as opposed to corn and beets that are stripping. And I mean, I read an article that somewhere there's no more topsoil because of the purging and the raping and the only care for the money, you know? And so cannabis, it just ain't nobody going to be growing a bunch and selling it to kids. It's not how it works. It's not the same as booze and tobacco. Nobody drinks or nobody smokes more than they should because they have an addiction. Like I drank until there's no more, until I was peeing myself. I could have stopped the whole, you know what I mean? I could have stopped 9 drinks before that, but I didn't until I was, said a bunch of things I regretted, but it didn't matter because I didn't remember. Same thing with the drugs. That's the addiction. You can't put them down. You already did $100 worth. You should be good, but you're not good. Cannabis is not that way. It self-regulates. Your body knows when you're done. The receptors take it and they get funky with it. Okay, so Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm going to talk a little longer here because, that super groovy 3-song set pushed me in, and I'm feeling pretty good. Sun shining here in Fargo. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We talked about cannabis in a positive light. I think we're going to have a call-in guest next week, which is going to be kind of fun because I don't know what this next week in the Senate Bill 1420 in North Dakota is going to. I don't know. I'm excited. I don't know. What's this amendment mean? I don't know. It'll be cool to see what's going on, and I'll keep you guys posted. So anyway, Minnesota marijuana legalization bill clears second House committee. Second Minnesota House Committee approved a bill on Tuesday that would legalize cannabis in the state. The House Labor, Industry, Veterans, and Military Affairs, Finance, and Policy, and 2 turntables and a microphone passed the measure in a 7-5 vote. This comes 1 week after the comments, Finance, and Polity advanced legislation. Okay, so they advanced it 1, so now it'll head to the Workforce and Business Development, Finance, and Policy Committee. What are all these names for? But anyway, 7-5 in the House. I'm not loving those votes. I'd like to see 9-1, 9-2, but anyway, it's good stuff for our neighbors. House Majority Leader Ryan Winkler is the man with the plan. This one's going to be 21 and older to purchase, possess up to 1.5 ounces, but the kicker, cultivate up to 8 plants, 4 of which could be mature. So that's exciting. And so that's good. So House Bill 1420, that's to be watching because it's just swap over. So now what was in the House is going to the Senate. It'll go through a committee, and then, so who knows how long that'll be. But apparently the committee next week, seems like the group ND for Freedom plan to be there. They're going to try to do some sort of homegrown amending thing via Mather. So I don't know what all that means. And in review, it seems to me like the only 2 things happening now is our government, our state government, or the people. You either go with the state government, who's going to be looking out for themselves, or for the people who's willing to give up their time and see that the people, especially for the medical benefit, which is what I'm about, can be respected. So that'll be good to watch. And then Minnesota's moving its way too. You can always check out Minnesota legalization, whatever, Marcus Harkis on Facebook. This hour of programming on KRFF 95.9 LPFM is being underwritten by S&S Incorporated. S&S works one-on-one with you to provide personal or business tax preparation, accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll services. Schedule your appointment with them at their West Fargo offices located at 45 8th Street East, Suite 105, or visit them online at facebook.com, S&S Incorporated, for more information. Check out S&S Incorporated for all of your tax prep and accounting needs. Canna-Talk ND, Radio Free Fargo, 95.9er. I don't know, does anybody know Edie Brickell? I'm going to play an Edie Brickell 2 song. The second one everybody's going to know. It was 1988. It was a beautiful time. But here we go, and I'll see you guys in 7 minutes. Fantastic. That was a Edie Brickell, New Bohemians, brand new Tripwire, and then the old staple 1IM. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday at 4:20. I give you a bag of cannabis news, and this Thursday was no different. Right after me now is going to be Stinky Arts Music Mart. Then we got locals on the 8, so you don't want to go anywhere. This hour is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Body Butter is their claim to fame. I love this stuff. Plus, it's by a beautiful soul, so you're going to want to take care of her because she's going to take care of you. Odds Twins Gift Shop, 2111 Main Avenue in West Fargo, and then across the street at Tochi Products. You can get this, and she's got like colloidal silver and that sort of stuff. And the Indie for Freedom of Cannabis Act petition is there, so you're going to want to sign that. And I got to go. So anyway, educate yourself so you can educate others on the benefits of cannabis. And I'll see you next Thursday. But first, David Allen Judgment Day. Peace.